Okay, and we are live. I'm just going to send out the link to everyone. Not sure if that's the right link. 1 second. Here we go. Copy. Copy. Okay. That's cool. So what I've done is I've sent out a link which is going live in 10 seconds. That's cool. So we get like a little warm up. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So last week we began by discussing possibly the most challenging topic there is to discuss, which is why do bad things happen to good people? And before we really got into it, I wanted to bring up the book of Eov and the Gemara that talks about it as the identity of Eov. We discussed how the Gemara has 7 different opinions who Eov was. And the commentary that I found most meaningful on that was, Eov is everyone. Eov is Jewish and he's not Jewish. He's during the time that the Beit HaMikdash is standing. He's during the time that of Galut. He's everyone. He's before Matan Torah, after Matan Torah. He is everyone and all of us. And he's maybe a mashal, but definitely real in all of our lives. And therefore, this is a question that we're not shying away from. But it seems that the only answer Eov gets is, how can you expect to understand the inner workings of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How can you expect to understand something that is absolutely beyond you? And therefore, maybe this whole series of shiurim, all right, we should end it here because it's beyond you and you can't understand. But there's a part of us that really wants to understand. And more than that, if pain is meaningless, then why does it exist at all? And so there must be a meaning to pain. There must be something that we're supposed to do with that pain. Otherwise, why does it exist? And so what I'd like to do over possibly just this week, maybe over the next few weeks, see how far we get, is discuss the possible different reasons for punishment, for suffering in general. That is to say, there are 2 ways of going. Either suffering is totally beyond, it's futile discussing it, or there are multiple different reasons for suffering, and in any specific situation, you can't really know which reason is at play and why things have worked out the way they did. But general principles, of course, we have general principles for suffering. We have, so let's begin. The first principle for suffering, the first reason someone might suffer is punishment. That's like a basic tenet of Judaism, that the reason we suffer is because we've done something wrong. And yet there seems to be contradicting sources. On the one hand, we have a Gemara in Bava Metzia Nun Chet Amud Bet that says as follows: Tanu Rabbanan, lo ta'anu ish et amito. Don't, you shouldn't cause pain to one another. Ima yusarim ba'in alav, ima yu chalaim ba'im alav, o shaya mikavert banav, al yomar lo. Right? Let's say you have a friend and terrible things happen to him. Right? He has terrible suffering and he's sick. Chas v'shalom, he loses his children. Don't say to him, like the friends. Yes. I'm just live.
Stand to make the movie set.
Amazing.
It's almost late.
Okay.
So be quick.
Don't say to him, Al yomar lo, keder she'amru lo chavirav le'Eov. Don't be like Eov's friends that they say to Eov in Perek Dalet, Halo yotcha kesilatcha tikvatcha v'tom derchecha zechona mihu naki abed. Eov's friends assume that if they see suffering, it's because the person is evil. The person has done something wrong. And therefore, the first thing you have to know about suffering is don't assume it's because of misconduct. Don't assume it's because of chata'im. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, we have a Gemara in Brachot that tells us, Amar Rava, v'item Rav Chisda, it's Brachot Daf Hey, Im ro'e adam yisurim ba'in alav, yifashfesh b'ma'asav, you should check your actions. And the Gemara continues, and if you don't find it in your actions, then it's probably, bittul Torah, and if it's not bittul Torah, then it is yisurin shel ahava. But the question is, on the one hand, while on the other hand, when you see pain in other people's lives, your responsibility is not to say maybe they did something wrong. And the question is, well, how does that fit in? How does that create a world outlook? And I think it's pretty obvious to anyone thinking about this clearly that there's a difference between introspection and judging others. When things happen to us, it's our responsibility to think maybe I did something wrong, and therefore maybe this is a message. Maybe this is Hashem encouraging me to fix something. On the other hand, when we see pain in other people, we should be 100% compassionate. We should be 100%, we should assume that they are tzaddikim and that they're suffering for a different reason, as we're going to discuss. There are different options out there. And so I guess just within the world of our own suffering, how we are supposed to reflect on suffering in our own lives. How do you know in your own life? Okay, let's say we don't judge other people. We're not looking to say, oh, you know why this happened to you? It's because of X, Y, and Z. There are terrible stories out there of, a tsunami hits a certain region and certain people who have spent certain amounts of time in a Bet Midrash decide to say, oh, I know why this is happening. This is happening because fill in the blank. Unless it's the pain happening to you, and you think that you understand the message HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving you, the Gemara in Bava Metzia is telling us, don't guess. Don't tell them the reason this is happening to you is fill in the blank. It is our responsibility to introspect, but only when the things are happening to us is on ourselves and not to other people. So what is the place for saying, I guess you can never say 100% unless you're a Navi, this happened to me because of X. On the other hand, pain is sometimes supposed to be a message. It is sometimes, throughout the Torah and throughout the Mefarshim, we know that there are things that there's a whole concept out there called midah keneged midah, that Hashem tells us that he does things as a reaction to sin. That goes all the way back to the beginning of creation. Chet Adam Rishon. Right? Because Adam did X, so he brought into the world death. Because he ate from the Eitz Hadat, he brought into the world death, and he brought into the world sweating, having to work really hard in order to earn money. Chava, through her chet in Eitz Hadat, she brought into the world, the pain of childbirth. There are consequences to actions, and therefore, quickly go through some Mefarshim of midah keneged midah. Right? Rashi explains in Bereshit Kafchet Pasuk Tet that the reason Yosef was kept away from his father for so long. The reason why Yosef was kept away from Yaakov for so long was because Yaakov stayed away from his parent. That Sarah was given to Paro, and therefore Am Yisrael was given to Paro. It's in the sin of Abraham giving Sarah to Paro was the cause of suffering for Am Yisrael in the future. Ruvain, this is a fascinating Ramban, which I only saw this once while I was researching this shiur, that the Ramban comments that Ruvain lost his Bechorah because he didn't want his father to have more children. The whole thing that he moved